Meow, my friends. It seems the world's gone balmy. NATO's scratching its collective head, trying to figure out how to respond to the latest geopolitical cat-and-mouse game. Why, you ask? Well, hold on to your whiskers, because over 10,000 North Korean troops have decided to join Russia's Ukrainian adventure. That's right. Kim Jong-un's finest are meow-playing soldier alongside Putin's forces in Ukraine's Kursk region. It's like the world's most dangerous exchange program, with more firepower than your average university dorm. This military mashup comes courtesy of a defense pact signed between Russia and North Korea back in June 2024. Apparently, these two decided that sharing nukes and bad haircuts wasn't enough, so they thought, why not share troops too? The pact basically says, if you're attacked, we'll send help faster than you can say totalitarian regime. And boy did they deliver. It's like they're trying to create the world's most intimidating boy band, except instead of singing, they're experts in artillery and infiltration. Meow, you might be wondering, why on earth would North Korea send its troops halfway across the world? Well, my friends, it's simple. They're not there for the borscht. No. They're after some of that sweet, sweet Russian military tech. We're talking missiles. We're talking nukes. We're talking the kind of toys that make Kim Jong-un's eyes light up like a cat who's just spotted a defenseless mouse. It's a quid pro quo that would make even the shadiest of politicians blush. But here's where it gets really interesting. These aren't just any old North Korean soldiers. Oh no, we're talking about the cream of the crop, the Storm Corps. These are the kind of troops that make Navy SEALs look like Boy Scouts on a camping trip. They're trained in everything from infiltration to artillery, and they're ready to show the world what they can do. It's like North Korea's twisted version of The Apprentice, except instead of you're fired, it's more like you're fried. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, bless his heart, seems a tad concerned. He said, and I quote, "We believe that about 11,000 North Korean troops are in the region." 11,000! That's not a military deployment, that's a small city. I half expect them to start their own football league at this point. Maybe they'll call it the Kursk Commandos or the Pyongyang Patriots. Either way, I doubt they'll be hosting any tailgate parties anytime soon. NATO, meanwhile, is scampering about like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. They're talking about deploying 300,000 troops to their eastern flank. 300,000. That's not a military response. That's a migration. I hear they're even considering increased air patrols, because nothing says we're concerned like more planes in the sky. Am I right? It's like trying to solve a rat problem by releasing more cats. It might work, but it's going to be messy. US Secretary of State State Blinken, not one to be left out of the fun, has warned that the direct participation of North Korean troops in combat necessitates decisive action from the international community. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. Next, he'll be telling us that water is wet and cats don't like baths. But in all seriousness, this is like finding out your neighbour's annoying dog has teamed up with the neighbourhood raccoon gang. Suddenly, your trash cans aren't safe anymore. But here's the kicker, my friends. China, the big dragon in the room, is being urged to rein in its little North Korean buddy. It's like asking the school bully to tell his sidekick to stop stealing lunch money. Good luck with that one, NATO. I'm sure Beijing will get right on that right after they finish their ongoing game of ignore the West and pretend everything's fine. Meow. Let's not forget the historical context here. North Korea's been playing this game since the Korean War. They've been popping up in conflicts around the world like some sort of military whack-a-mole. But this is unprecedented. We're talking about a level of military cooperation that's making even the most seasoned diplomats reach for the antacids. It's like watching a geopolitical version of the Three Stooges, except with nuclear weapons. Russia, North Korea and NATO are all running around, poking each other in the eyes and bonking each other on the head. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just trying to figure out how to keep our whiskers out of the crossfire. And let's talk about the potential cultural clash between these North Korean troops and their new Russian buddies. I mean, can you imagine? It's like the world's most awkward potluck dinner. You bring the kimchi, we'll bring the vodka. I wonder if they had to set up a kimchi to borscht exchange rate. And don't even get me started on the language barrier. I can just see a North Korean soldier trying to ask for directions to the nearest latrine in broken Russian. It's a comedy goldmine, folks. But let's not forget the real masterminds behind this geopolitical circus. Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. Two peas in a very strange, very dangerous pod. I imagine their strategy meetings are like a bad spy movie, complete with elaborate evil lairs and matching villain outfits. Today, we take Ukraine. Tomorrow, the world. It's like they're playing a real-life game of Risk, except the stakes are actual countries and people's lives. Talk about a midlife crisis gone wrong. And what about the other world leaders? I can just imagine their private reactions. President Biden probably spat out his morning coffee when he heard the news. Macron is probably furiously writing strongly worded letters in French. And poor Olaf Scholz is probably wondering if he can return the Chancellor job for a refund. It's a diplomatic nightmare wrapped in a military crisis, served with a side of what were they thinking? Meow. Let's talk about the Kursk region for a moment. It's not exactly a tropical paradise. I mean, North Korean troops are used to hardship, but Ukrainian winters? That's a whole new level of not fun. I can see it, meow. North Korean soldiers huddled around a campfire, dreaming of Pyongyang's balmy negative 10-degree winters. And don't even get me started on the food. From kimchi to cabbage soup, it's like a vegetable-based culture shock. And the logistical challenges? Oh boy, imagine trying to coordinate supply lines between Pyongyang and Kursk. It's like trying to set up a transcontinental kitty litter delivery service. Yes, we need more tanks. No, not more kimchi. Tanks. It's a military planner's worst nightmare and a comedian's dream come true. But let's not forget the serious side of this feline fiasco. This little military exchange program could have some serious economic impacts. I mean, who's footing the bill for all this? Is North Korea charging Russia by the soldier? Is there a buy 10,000 troops, get one missile technology free deal? The economic implications are as murky as a cat's bathwater. And what about the ongoing peace efforts on the Korean peninsula? This is like throwing a rabid dog into a cat sanctuary. It's not exactly conducive to peaceful negotiations. South Korea must be thrilled. Oh great, our northern neighbours are getting combat experience. Just what we needed. I can almost hear the collective facepalm from Seoul to Washington. But you know what, my friends? In times like these, we need to remember to keep our sense of humour. After all, laughter is the best medicine, unless you're dealing with nuclear proliferation, in which case I'd recommend something stronger, perhaps a hazmat suit and a fully stocked bunker. So, as we watch this international game of Risk unfold, remember to keep your claws sharp and your tails high. And if you enjoyed this catastrophic catastrophe of a news update, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. After all, in times like these, we could all use a good laugh, or a stiff drink, or both, preferably both. Because let's face it, my friends, in a world where North Korean troops are fighting in Ukraine, Russian missiles might be heading to Pyongyang, and NATO is considering turning Eastern Europe into the world's largest military base, we need all the humour we can get. It's either laugh or cry, and I don't know about you, but I prefer to save my tears for when I run out of catnip. So here's to hoping that cooler heads prevail, that diplomacy triumphs over aggression, and that someone, somewhere, remembers that peace is generally preferable to turning the world into a real-life version of Call of Duty. But until then,